Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to get started on the 2J swap in the XJ. So I'm just going to kind of go over the XJ a little bit and show you the 2J and the car I pulled it out of, and then I'm just going to set you up on a time lapse. This will not be a how to remove your 4.0 video. I'm just going to slowly pull everything apart throughout the days after work and over the weekend. And we won't really get into much detail until I actually get the engine or the bell housing swapped, the engine in, figure out torque converter stuff, engine mounts, all those things. We'll take our time and try to go through that. So let's go look at this thing. I bought this thing from a friend at work. It's already pretty decently set up. It's sat for a very long time. It's got a 4.6 stroker. It's 8.2 cams, and that's why it's been sitting. I could fix it, but I don't want to. I want to do the 2J swap. I'll end up using the 4.6 out of this and another cam and some other stuff to work on the ZJ later, because I want to go to 1 tons at some point and a bigger blower. So this thing's more for the street, the ZJ is more for the woods. So it's pretty decently set up. It's pretty nice. Just sat for a very long time. It's as nice as it gets for an XJ. Nothing spectacular. It's not made out of gold. It's just a Jeep. It's got some pretty stout arms up front. It's already long armed. It's got leaves in the back still. We may go 4-link in the back at some point, but for now I'm not that worried about it. It may see the woods at some point, but it's not going to be beat on like the Grand Cherokee. And here's the 2J. VVTi 2J. I bought the whole car for like 700 bucks. I mean, there was a delivery fee too, so I got $850 in it. I sold $40 worth of parts, and I'll see if I can sell some more before I get rid of the car. So I'm about 800 bucks into having the 2J and the bell housing, and it's got an A650E, which I may use in the 240. If the 2J and the 1UZ A650s are the same, then I'll use it to replace the one I tore up in the 240. But 2001 GS300. So it's destined for the scrapyard. I'll sell what I can and get some money back as much as possible. When I did the 240, I did really good. I bought an LS400, a tree fell on the trunk. It ran and drove. It was a nice car. I bought it for $800 in Atlanta, drove it up here to Cleveland or Chattanooga, and then I sold about $1,200 worth of stuff after keeping the drivetrain, so I did really good on that one. Not doing so good on the GS300. The following is just not as strong, or the parts are just too easy to come by to make them worth much. That and the bumper's a little tore up, lots of wear and tear. Someone tore the corner off of this, so it's garbage because I didn't want to find one other bolt. Rust on the fender, dent in that fender. So headlights are all faded, but the scrapyard will take it either way. So I'm just gonna set you up somewhere, and I'm gonna start tearing the engine out of this thing. I like to do it slowly. I will take it apart piece by piece. Just take my time. And we're out. Alright, I've not done a whole bunch of measuring because in the end it doesn't matter, it's going in the hole anyway. But the 2J is roughly 29¼ long bell to front of crank or damper. And this is like 31 to 31¼ to here, minus the fan. But if that had a fan, it'd have more too, so we can ignore that. Actually, even if it did, the pulley sticks out further, so crap, it's 31¾ 31½. Yeah, 31¾ to the end of the stud. So we'll have more room for activities. So I'm not sure once we boost it where we're going to get the intercooler, where we're going to put it, but it being shorter and the bell housing hopefully being in the same spot roughly, hopefully we can scoot the radiator closer to the engine and get an intercooler in front of it. If not, we'll figure it out. It's not a huge deal. It's going somewhere. Bell housing, much smaller. Flywheel stays inside of the engine bell, pretty much, almost. It barely sticks out. Jeep sticks out the back. Now, we'll be swapping bell housings, and I'm sure those are very different in depths. The easy way to do the 2J is supposed to be if you have an A340. I don't know if the A650E is the same as far as the input shaft. The A340 and AW4 are supposed to pull the front, swap the pump, and swap the input shaft in the like the first planetary gear set in there, I believe. We don't have an A340. I might go buy one just to steal the guts. I really think I'm just gonna stick it on there and see what lines up. I may make an adapter to bolt it straight to the Jeep converter and not worry about swapping over all the Toyota stuff. I might look at pulling the A650 apart, but I just doubt, I very, very much doubt that it's the same. I already checked torque converters, they're different. Very, very close to the same, but different. I don't know what the advantage is of the A340 input shaft, besides you can use the A340 torque converter and it just bolts together. But if you get a VVTi engine, like we got, I've not done a whole lot of digging, but I don't believe the VVTis didn't come out with A340 that I know of. They may have. Don't quote me on anything. But the bulk of the VVTi engines available are going to have A650Es and your GS300s, your SC300s, your IS300s. It's going to be a little harder to get the A340 with your 2J, where those are still everywhere. The non-VVTis are too, but when I found this one, I found like 3 other vehicles I could buy for $800, all VVTi, all A650Es. So that's probably what you're going to find too. Now, I found plenty of transmissions I could go buy, well, a handful, but I'm not going to go spend $200, $300 to go maybe take the guts out of one when I can just make a flex plate and rock on. Hopefully. I can't be dedicated. I'm not 1000% sure until I get all this crap bolted together for mock-up on how I'm going to do it. But I made a flex plate for that, for the 8-speed, and it's in there, and it works great. So I'm sure I can do it. What else have we got? Yeah, I think that's about it for this one. The next video, I will be taking the converter out of both transmissions, taking that bell housing, putting it on here, putting this converter back in, and seeing how it lands. Because I may be 1000% wrong, and what I want to do may not work at all, and I may have to go get the input shaft and the torque converter and everything else. I believe A340, A650 torque converter, I believe it's the same, because when you look up a stall converter for an A650, it comes up A340, A650, which makes me think the input shaft might be the same too, but we'll figure that out. So that's gonna be about it for this one. We've made some progress. Both engines are out. Now I start swapping parts, and maybe I haven't looked at what it takes to get the input shaft out. If I can do it all from the front, then I may go ahead and pull. I'd hate to do it with it all together. I don't want it all to hit the floor. If I could pull it out without having to pull the pan and the valve body, then I may pull both out just to compare them, and if I can swap it, maybe we will. But I don't know yet. Well, we'll find out in the next one. Well, if you made it through this, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.